My name is Danny Marty Ray, and before I jumped into the world of podcasting, I tried my hand at being in a punk rock band. We did okay, but a few years down the line, I bumped into Jarrett Reddick, frontman of multi-platinum selling band Bowling for Soup, and one of the scene legends who really has been there, done the thing, and got the t-shirt. Together, we decided to launch the kind of resource that we wished we'd had growing up. This is your resource now, and this is our podcast. Welcome to Music Networking 101.
Well, it's good to see you. It's our third one, man.
Oh, it is. It's our last one of the year, so we've got to make it a good one.
Well, this one rules. Just try. I'm a busy guy. I have, I like to say that I have 12 jobs and just leave it at that. But both of our guests today are no different. They are both just so much happening. It's pretty crazy. You want to introduce our first guest?
Yeah, absolutely. It's my absolute pleasure to introduce Tom Higgenson of Plain White Tees, Million Miler, and of course the record label Humans Were Here. So let's bring Tom on and let's have a chat. I think it's just faded off the stream. That's a good start, isn't it?
What happened?
I think he's just disappeared off the broadcast.
Son of a gun. Oh, you want me to pretend to be Tom?
You can pretend, yeah, just for a couple of minutes.
I want to talk a little bit about him before, so until he gets back. I will say this: we had. Is he back?
Yes, he's back.
Okay, then bring him on.
So you guys, it was the craziest thing. We've been on here talking, behind the scenes for 10 minutes now.
Yeah.
As soon as you went live, that's what I heard when you guys were talking, and I'm like, oh my god, I gotta leave and come back in. So I don't know what the hell happened, but it's good now. So
there's some weird Gremlins over there, and it's timely.
Yeah.
That's a timely reference because Gremlins is a Christmas movie.
Good call.
And Tom, I was about to just say that we had you on the Rockstar Dad show last year, and you had the most glorious mullet.
It's still. I actually just got a haircut the other day, but I'm still rocking the mullet.
You're still rocking it, but you had like different color in there. It was glorious, and then I feel like you were at the forefront of bringing that haircut back. I'm serious.
I feel like I was at the forefront and at the end because I don't know. Did it come back? I'm not sure.
Oh, it's back. Oh my God. Oh my Lord. In Texas, every single kid, well, even just look on TV. Like, I mean, anybody playing sports, like especially baseball players and stuff, like they're all growing. That it's coming back. Wow. I had one of those in the 80s, but we called it a bi-level. Ah,
nice.
Yeah.
I'm still kind of, I got my 85 Bears shirt on. I'm just rocking the 80s aesthetic all day.
Was 85 the big year? Is that with the fridge and all that stuff?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Crazy, man. The Super Bowl shuffle.
You got it. Yeah, McMahon, Peyton, all those guys.
Big year, man. Big year for Chicago that year, and super fun. Well, thanks for joining us, Tom.
It's good to see you guys always.
Yeah. And as Danny mentioned in the intro, and you've got a lot going on. You're a Chicago musician growing up in the in that world of out there. With kind of in that same, you were kind of in the same world as like Fall Out Boy and those guys, right? I mean, y'all were all kind of doing. Remember my boys, The Dog and Everything? Do you remember that?
Oh, dude, do you realize that we're gonna talk obviously about my label and all kinds of stuff that I'm doing now, but it's all like my production partner is Dan, the singer of The Dog and Everything.
What?
Yeah, dude.
I had no idea.
Oh yeah, he's like I see Dan almost every day of my life.
He's uncomfortably tall.
He is, yes.
It's like bizarre. The thing about The Dog and Everything, I produced one of their EPs.
Dude, I remember that. This is like worlds colliding.
He was a better drummer than their drummer.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of wackiness in the world because I was just like, I want to get this done. Can you just go in there and play it?
Yeah, dude. That's usually the case. I'm actually a drummer as well. And I feel like drummers kind of make the best songwriters because it's like they just kind of they feel it a little different. I don't know.
Also a drummer. Started out on drums,
Yeah,
played drums all
see?
the way through school. You know, Steven Tyler, drummer. Don
Oh,
Henley.
damn.
Yeah.
Nice.
Crazy.
Nice.
Yeah, man. So, I mean, we like to get you guys when you're on here to just kind of give us a brief bio. So if you don't mind, just kind of talk us through how you got into music. And, obviously everybody knows the 5 or 6 monster Plain White Tee hits that you guys, I mean, crazy times for you guys. And still, I mean, hey there, Delilah will never go away. And I've told you how I feel about the 1, 2, 3, 4 song. I'm actually just mad at you for writing that. I am, because that's that song that when people are like, what's the song that you would have written? That's the one I should have written. I should have thought of that. Damn
Well,
it.
thank you. Believe me, every time, I don't know if you're the same way, but when you get an idea like that, where it's like, oh, like I'll count, and I'll
Yeah.
use the words in the song, the lyrics, like I always feel like, man, I've got to get this thing out quick because
Yeah.
somebody else is bound to have this idea. It's
100%.
like, don't you feel like that?
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, I've got on my new country record, I have a song called Doggone It. And the way that I use it is she's got the leash and I'm the doggone dog on it.
Oh, nice.
Right. So
Dude,
I
that's so
wrote,
crazy. I heard somebody do that the other day.
you
No, just
son of a
kidding.
bitch. I wrote that song like 4 years ago. And I've been just going, oh my God, somebody's going to figure this out,
Dude, that's a good one. Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, so tell us a little bit about, what got you into music and where you are at today. I know that's long-winded, but do your best.
Sure, I'll do the abbreviated version. I mean, what got me into music? I don't know, just music kicks ass. It's like from a young age, I was always just like I remember just sitting in the back seat of, of the car as a kid, just like kind of playing air guitar to like whatever my parents had on the radio. It was like just, I always was very interested in music. And so then like, yeah, in junior high, I started like writing little rap songs with my buddies and stuff. And, then when I was in high school, it was like that amazing time of, you know, alternative music and grunge and everything. And from Nirvana to Pearl Jam to Weezer to Green Day, that just became like my obsession. I'd be going to concerts every single weekend with my buddies down in Chicago, and just started like, fumbling through chords on guitar. Like I said earlier, I'm a drummer too. So it's like, just kind of banging around with buddies in the basement, just kind of covering Weezer songs and stuff. And then just started writing my own songs. And that's when Plain White Tees started. So then obviously you guys know the course of Plain White Tees, where we're up, like a 10-year overnight success, right?
Right.
And then we had obviously some really big songs: Delilah, 1, 2, 3, 4, Rhythm of Love, Hate, Our Time Now, Should Have Gone to Bed, Giving Tree. Those are probably the ones that most people would know, which is a crazy, crazy success that of course is, super grateful for. And the Tees are still killing it. We've been playing shows since July, almost every weekend, doing the Weekend Warrior thing, which feels so good after I mean, I don't want to say after the pandemic, because obviously we're still in the
Sure.
pandemic, but just to be able to get out and perform again is such a good feeling. And the Plain White Tees actually just recorded a brand new song that we're going to be putting out early next year. We also did a cover of Winter Wonderland for the holidays this year, so everybody can check that out. But over the past couple of years in the pandemic, and right before the pandemic started, I actually, because I didn't have enough going on apparently, so I had to start my own record label called Humans Were Here. And I've got a few amazing artists signed to that: Fairview, One Life, both from Chicago, Robot X, who I'm really excited about. And then I've got a couple side projects of my own, a band called TLB, which is a punk band, very much like Ramones meets Green Day meets like early Plain White Tees, because we started, as more of like a pop punk band.
Yeah.
So TLB, I'm the drummer also, so I get to fulfill my drum love.
Okay.
And then Million Miler, which is a solo project, my first solo project I've ever done. Because, Plain White T's kind of started just kind of me writing songs on my own, and it's kind of grown into what it's become. So Million Miler definitely feels like me, like 15-year-old me, just like doing whatever the fuck I want and just having fun with it. And it's this kind of 80s themed, as you can see, I've got my, my 80s thing going. So it's just like really diving into that 80s obsession and just kind of making these synth layered just jams, that you could have heard in 1985, or you could hear, on the radio right now. It's like the modern 80s thing, but with a more leaning to the 80s than the modern. I feel like I'm doing a good job of paying a good homage to the to that classic 80s feel. It's very nostalgic feeling, and very fun. And yeah, so I've released an album earlier this year called Millie, which is my nickname, Million Miler, Millie, and actually just released 2 brand new songs. I did a song called What the Fuck Happened to 2021, which is all too relatable right now. And I just released a Christmas cover of Last Christmas, obviously the amazing Wham song. Also, Jimmy Eat World did a great cover of that one. And now Million Miler has covered it. And gearing up for tomorrow afternoon, we're doing a label Christmas show, a virtual Christmas show, Humans Were Here holiday extravaganza, with all the artists on the label doing some pre-filmed live performances. And we're going to be doing like answering questions and hanging with people online and doing giveaways and all kinds of stuff tomorrow. So that's going to be super fun.
Love
So
it.
yeah, that's kind of the start to where I'm at now, I guess.
And you stream a lot online, don't you, as well?
So yeah, I've been that started early in the pandemic. With Plain White Tees, I started going on Facebook every Wednesday night. Actually, it started, of course, as just one Wednesday night, and was like, man, this was really fun. Let's do it again next week. And then, I just kept it going, and here we are, going on almost 2 years doing that, a good over a year and a half of doing a show every Wednesday. I think I've missed about 3 or 4 maybe because we've been traveling or whatever the case may be. But so I've called it the Wednesday Club. So we've got a good community of fans and followers of Plain White Tees who, thanks to the Wednesday Club, and now kind of seeped into following what all this other stuff I've got going on with Humans Were Here, Million Miler, TLB. So really strong community building, just out of necessity, the necessity of literally having to figure out a way to just stay connected with people and, keep doing live music, even though we can't be in a venue or, together personally. So yeah, it's been really fun.
It's almost like we kind of got forced down the road 10 years, with the last 2 years. It's like where we all sort of knew it was going. Like you and I both did Vans for 10 years before we even had any actual success.
Oh yeah.
And we all saw that was going away. We all saw that, okay, well, people don't go see bands for discovery anymore. You don't just go out to the club and see a band and go, I'm going to be a fan of that band anymore. There's just too much access and all of that. And so as that's dying out, and then all of a sudden it's just like, well, now you can't go do that anymore. And how you're going to build these things. So just talk a little bit about how, what besides, and if streaming is kind of the main way, but a lot of people who are watching this now are people who are making music. And what are the techniques? What are the ways that you get the word out about it these days? Obviously, it's just different than it used to be.
Yeah, I will say I do think, and it's funny because I feel like because of the pandemic and the absence of live shows, I almost feel like that pendulum might swing back now because it's been taken away from people, So I kind of feel like, live shows, of course, will never go away. Right. But yeah, I agree. It's like for a while, it was like you didn't really, not that you didn't have to go play live, but it's like, no, you can just post YouTube videos or you can do all that stuff.
Right.
And I feel like now it's like there is going to be always like a a need for live shows, but now that like I said, it was taken away, it's like that's going to be so much more appealing now because it's going to feel fresh again, you know?
Yeah.
But that being said, I mean, obviously now the YouTube stuff is never going to go away. The um, freaking Instagram lives and Facebook lives and all that stuff. It's so easy to just, I mean, it's been amazing to just be able to sit here on my couch in my own home and still put on shows and still connect with people. So yeah, I think that doing stuff like that is great. I think, even me, I'm always thinking I'm never doing enough. And we were talking earlier, Jared, about how we're both constantly like working and doing stuff and just creating. But I still feel like, man, I don't do enough on social media or,
Yeah.
YouTube and all that stuff. I tend to believe that, more of the like making the content is more important than putting it out there, but I know that that's not necessarily the case. It's you got to have a good balance of both. But yeah, I feel like we're all kind of figuring it out. I don't have
Yeah,
the
definitely.
the
Yeah.
super recipe. I just think, yeah, I've always been a believer of if you make something, you make a piece of art that is truly good, then it will kind of find its way. And of course, you've got to be out there. You've got to be plugging it. You've got to be connecting with people.
Mhm.
But yeah, I guess you just kind of, there's still a part of me that believes in the luck end, But
Sure.
I heard a great quote. Actually, I did a little podcast a while ago, and I talked to Johnny Resnick from the Goo Goo Dolls, and he said this quote that blew my mind. It was the harder I work, the luckier I get.
Yeah.
And
Right.
that is just so true
Mhm.
because the more you put yourself out there, the more content, the songs you put out, the more you go live, the more you do that stuff, it's like you're gonna find, opportunity will find its way to you.
Yeah.
I've had so many friends that like are so good and so much better than me that like have never done shit or never made it because they don't put in the work or they don't put, it's like they've got these amazing demos or these amazing songs and they don't just put them out. They're like waiting for like, they're waiting to make Thriller before they put out
Mm-hmm.
Off the Wall or whatever. It's like they're like, I don't know. Maybe it's they're too afraid to fail. Maybe it's they have like such a high expectation of themselves or whatever it is. But like I'm more of the mindset of like, man, just I think it's cool, so like get it out there. And if I think it's cool, somebody else is bound to think it's cool. And, eventually somebody's going to connect the dots and all of a sudden, I'm this artist who's got a immense body of work that when somebody finally does discover it, they're going to be able to dive in and it's not just going to be like one song or one thing. It's going to be this whole story that they're going to be a part of.
Sure. That's a very good point because the first thing you and I know, and going back into the label days, but this is like this with anything else now. If you do have that, this great song and you're sending it out and people are like, hey, this is great. What else you got?
Totally. Oh yeah.
You just got, it's all about hustling and there's so much that goes to it. It's just, the world isn't fair. It's not enough to be the best guitar player in the world. It's not enough to be the best songwriter in the world. It's not enough to be the best band in the world. You also have to have the people skills. You have to have the drive. You have to be able to fail and get back up. I was thinking about, when you were talking about doing the streaming from your couch. Do you remember when this thing first started and you go back to like that first summer and how your Facebook feed was literally just musician after musician after musician. It was all just live stream. And it's interesting to me that that's weeded itself out and it's not like that anymore. It's almost like, I'm still doing shows. You're still doing shows. Rhett Miller's still doing shows, but you don't have all those people out there hustling. What was it? Did they not get the exposure that they thought that they deserved? Did they not make the money they thought they deserved? It's did they weed themselves out? You know?
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like, I mean, I've just seen when I was started doing it, the numbers were much higher of people watching,
Yes.
because I
Yeah.
think just naturally, at that time, nobody could do anything. People weren't even going to work. They weren't leaving their house for the most part.
Right.
And I feel like, so now that people, are back to their jobs, they're kind of back to, like, there's a little bit of entertainment. Maybe they're going to see a movie once in a while. Maybe they've seen a concert or two in the past few months or something. So I just think naturally, it's not, maybe not as necessary as it was back then,
Right.
but I also think that, to make your point, is all those musicians that were going live, they couldn't go to the studio, they couldn't go co-write, they couldn't go on tour.
Yep.
So I feel like, because now, and maybe some of them, couldn't go work their day jobs or whatever, so it's like they're all stuck at home. So
Yeah. All good points.
let's connect on this device that we're all holding in our hands. That's our way to do it. But yeah, I've just personally just had so much fun with it. And that Wednesday club thing I was talking about, it's like, it's become, whereas, like, if I go, like I said, I've had to miss a couple, and it's like, I kind of feel like, oh man, I missed doing the Wednesday club this week.
Yeah.
It's become like a fun thing for me even. So yeah, I don't know, maybe like you said, I'm sure for a lot of people, maybe they didn't quite get the connection,
I
or
think all your points, I think all you explained it. I mean, I think all your points are great. No, really,
Yeah.
I do. I think you're absolutely right. And a big part of that is that, it's harder and harder to get people to do that. It's, to me, the streaming thing seems like a no-brainer. We did full production Bowling for Soup shows.
Oh wow.
And and we streamed them. And to me, mathematically, I'm going into it going, the first one, thinking, all right, we do 1,000 people in any city in the United States. We do 2,500 people in any city in the UK. We do great in Japan. We do great here, 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 here. We never not sell out in Holland. You know what I mean? Like, it's here are the things. So I'm like, well, if we get like 20 people from each market, we're going to have like 10,000 people at this thing. And like, you're sitting at 300 tickets going into this thing that you just dropped 10 grand on to do,
Right,
it's just
right.
like, it is hard to get people to sit in front of their television, watch you in concert. It is hard. And
hard to make people pay for it.
right.
I
Sure.
think, as well.
Sure. Yeah.
If it was a free Bowling for Soup show, then I'll
Right.
bet you everybody would tune in. Yeah.
And you're probably right. And maybe that's the key, is to get them there and then have the, pass the tip jar, digitally, or, have an upsell of some sorts. But yeah, and you're not wrong there. But still, you would think, that somebody would pay $10, because it's $10 a house.
Right.
You would think that and everybody had their little clusters and their little groups, right? So you'd think, but yeah, it's just, again, it's one of those hustle things. It's one of those things where you gotta, my stage at shows I built, and it was a commitment, not only for me, but to keep doing them, but to the fans to show up, but hey, you know what we should do? We should bring Adam into the discussion before it gets too late. So Tom, hang with us. Let's bring Adam in, and then we'll hear from him, and then we'll all chat about music networking.
Awesome.
Cool.
Here we go. Hey, Adam.
What's up?
There he is.
How you doing,
How's
man?
it going?
Good. Do you want to introduce our guest, Danny?
Yes. So this is Adam Ramey, and he is the frontman of Dropout Kings. For any of you guys who haven't heard of them, he also is the runner of CEO of Push Digital Marketing, and a brand representative of Indie Amplify. Please tell me if any of that is incorrect, Adam.
No, that's correct.
This dude is just as busy as Tom. You're a crazy man for all you're doing, and you are right in this world of what we're talking about here. on this panel, what we talk about here each month. Can you give us a little bit of your background? Tell us how you got into music and how being in bands, catapulted you into the marketing side of things.
Yeah. Well, I mean, ever since I was a little kid, I wanted to be a musician. Like when I would close my eyes and be like, people be like, "What do you want to do when you grow up?" I was like, I kind of just want to like play music, and I didn't like fully understand that was like a possibility when I was a kid. It was just like I knew like when I closed my eyes and I'm like, "What do you imagine yourself doing?" It was that. So I kind of like I was in bands. I played drums in bands for years, and then I had an interest in doing vocals, and I kind of learned that over time. And then eventually I got into this band called We the Collectors. That was like my first like real band, and then I was a vocalist in that. And then that kind of fell off over the years, and then I was in this band called the Bad Chapter for a while, and then that kind of petered out. And then so that was when that happened. I kind of switched gears, and I'm like, I want to still be relevant, so I started doing like YouTube covers and stuff. And I wanted to do a Linkin Park cover, and so I was like, but I want to have a guy that can like rap Mike Shinoda's parts and maybe do like a little bit of like a remix on his verse. And I was kind of just scrolling through my feed one day, and then I found this like Underdog Cypher video. It was like an Arizona Underdog Cypher, and it was like 4 different rappers. They all spit a 16 or something, and then I saw Eddie on there, and I'm like, that's the guy that I need. So I hit him up. He was down. We did the cover. It did really good on YouTube. And then I was kind of like, let's just make a band out of this, and then that's kind of how Dropout Kings was born. And then, we started making music, got a couple record deals, and then, we're kind of at where we're at now. But during that whole process, like I had marketed the band since its inception and really like built that up. And, I also like I was managing a couple of different gyms, so I also would like market personal trainers and stuff like that. So I kind of had my footing in the door with the whole marketing thing, and I've done tons of consultations with like people in the industry that knew what they were doing, and I would just take a piece from this guy, a piece from this girl, and then eventually created my own concept. But yeah, and then kind of, when COVID happened, it was when I really took the marketing thing full time because the gyms all got shut down. I wasn't really doing a whole lot. So like I really just started the business, hit the ground running, never looked back, and like quadrupled what I made like in the first year. And I was like, yeah, definitely there's something to this thing. And so I just kept doing it, and then kind of got involved with the indie amplify thing, because in the space there's no real marketplace for like an independent artist to go. Like if you want YouTube ads ran, if you want Facebook ad ran, like Spotify stuff, if you need a YouTube reactor, like it's all in one centralized location. So we started pushing that for a while, and now we're in a seeding phase with that company, and now here we are.
Can you do me a favor and like just go back to the last point you were making about the indie amplifier and just break those things down that you just said?
Okay.
And just do a short explanation of what it is you're saying, because I think people hear they don't a YouTube reactor, or they hear this and this. And I'm going to be honest, I'm 49. I could use this information as well because I don't necessarily understand all of that. And
yeah. So basically, the reason I kind of say YouTube reactions and stuff is because blogs, they used to be the main thing a few years ago, right? That kind of died off, and while they still have their utilization and like for SEO purposes, like search engine optimization and all that, it still does have its place, but it's very much moved into like the YouTube reactor people. Because the thing you got to think about is like these guys have their own built-in fan base, right? So if they talk about your song and it's permittable with their audience, like you essentially get the cosign of that influencer, and you have the attention of that entire fan base, and then they post it on their socials, And it kind of doubles for you because you can also take that content and you can use that on your profile. And to me, that's like the new blogs. It's much more engaging because you could put a face to a name and all of that stuff. Whereas like a blog, you're just reading something. Not a lot of people have the patience for that. You know what I mean? So it has a lot of benefits. So like basically what we're doing at Indie Amplify is it's a true marketplace. So essentially, if you were a DIY artist, you had no idea where to go, you have no backing, you could go there, you could get vocal templates. If you're doing that, you can find somebody that makes beats, you can find somebody that does a ton of YouTube reactors, and you can go through the different ones, and it has price points that are definitive. It has, what you can expect. They can approve or deny certain things, so it's not just, there's a level of they need to actually like it. You know what I mean?
Right, sure.
If they wanted to go somewhere to get a YouTube ad ran, Facebook ad ran, Spotify ad ran, they can go to Indie Amplify and they can purchase those things. But yeah, it's beneficial too from an influencer standpoint, because you get all those influencers on the platform and now they're getting paid for their craft. You know what I mean? So it kind of works both ways in that regard. And I think that's why it's, been as successful as it is because of all that. You have a centralized marketplace for these artists to go to. If they don't have any other resources. And then also, a lot of people right now on the influencer side are just looking for ways to monetize what they're doing, and Indie Amplify gives them a platform where they can do that. And also it has a ton of organic lead generation, so they don't have to do anything, like they just list their services on and the orders come, and then they just approve or deny it,
Yeah, that is super, super interesting and super helpful for those who don't. I mean, because again, my managers claim that they know how to do Facebook ads, but I don't really know if I believe it.
There's a lot that goes into it, I mean, just one thing is like, you have to optimize, you have to have some level of data capture going into that, because where social media platforms are extremely beneficial, as we know, there's also a lot of drawbacks. For instance, you don't really own anything that you post on those socials, and you sign that away when you sign the terms of service agreement,
Right.
So that's why I try to tell artists, like, get your own website, get a landing page, you know what I mean? Have your own custom domain, because you need a custom domain in order to optimize ads on Facebook. Mm-hmm. So that data capture you can use for a lot of things. All the traffic that comes to your website or your landing page, you can have all of that. You have what's called a Facebook pixel attached to your website. And then basically you're giving Facebook a little bit of direction. You're like, hey, go find me more people that are just like this. And a lot of the emails. So then you have the data capture aspect of things too. If people are pre-saving your track, if they're ordering merch, if they're opting in for certain things, if you have lead magnets that are developing an SMS/email list, there's more applications to that than just direct email and SMS marketing. There's also, you can take that whole list and you can import that into a demographic, and then you can make what's called the lookalike audience. And you could take the top 1 to 10% of those people, and you could tell Facebook, go find me these individuals that we know they've converted. They've either pre-saved, they've bought something. Those are prime. That's prime real estate, and you could be like, go find me the top 1 to 10% of people just like this. And that's really one of the best ways that you can reach a new audience, and you're using warm audience data to do so. And that's just going to maximize your efforts. That's going to bring your cost per conversion way down. And those are a lot of, a lot of people aren't doing that. They're just kind of flying blind. They're putting in like a million bands that are kind of like them. And it's like, with the parameters that Facebook works with, if you put like 17 bands in your detailed targeting, how are you going to know what's actually working and what's not? You got to kind of start small and then build from there. And, that's it. I do a ton of consultations, and that's always like the biggest thing. They're not doing any of that. And I'm like, it's like, not to be, an a-hole or anything, but you're really just tossing your money away at that point,
right.
And you're not capturing the data. You know what I mean? If you have your own website, you have your own landing page, like that's your data. You own that domain. You own all of that data, you know, so you're putting the infrastructure into the artist's hands. And that's kind of what I'm all about, you know?
Yeah, I mean, you're so right. And you know what? That's what Facebook is counting on, right? They're
I
counting
say
on
that all the time, man. They want
yeah.
you to do that.
So that's the thing is like they want it's they're making their money on on small artists going, well, you know what, I'll throw $10 at this, I'll throw $10 at this, and you got 3 million of those happening a month or whatever. This is where all that revenue is coming from.
Yeah, you know, and like on top of all that, like I really try to get the artists, like, you know, talking about infrastructure. It's like there's so many, you know, it's like I try to tell them like treat it like a business, you know. I mean, a lot of people know that already, but they don't know all of the applications that you can do to make it a business, you know, like have an LLC, if you can have a line of credit. Like now if you have consistent transactions, you know, for 6 months to a year, and if you have pretty good credit, like you can put your credit on there too. Now all of a sudden you have a $10,000 credit limit. You can fund your own releases. You don't really need a label because you have all of the resources, you know. And then now Facebook even does a net 30 on their ad spend. So like if you get a credit card for your business, that gives you cash rewards back. So like you can get cards that give you 4 times the points on marketing, 4% cash back. And also, Facebook does a net 30 option now for your ad spend. So you can maximize your cash flow. And also, you're getting points back. I mean, like, dude, our band, I mean, dude, we spend, you know, thousands of dollars a year, you know, 4% of that coming back plus points that you can use for other things. I mean, you're on tour. The gas is going to eat you alive when you're, you know, a small to medium sized band. I mean, that will really take the burden off you. Like, fronting merch orders. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like it gives you much more room to make things happen. You know, those are the kind of things that I try to provide on top of, you know, influencer marketing, you know, like YouTube reactions. Cause, you know, I'm pushing like TikTok extremely hard because I'm like, look where everything is, you know, these big brands, these big labels, they're tossing tons of money at these influencers. And, you got to ask yourself why, you know, what is it about it, you know? And I've had a few artists snap on TikTok and it literally changed their lives. You know, it's like, you want to talk about a return on investment, you can make this content for free at very minimal effort, very minimal setup time or anything. A 15-second video of someone doing the dumbest thing you've ever seen can literally double. Like I had one band, so they're like a pop punk band. And I was like, I try to think slide edge theory. I'm like, what does this band have over like every other pop punk band in the space? Huge question, right? And I realized like the singer was classically Broadway trained, right? So I'm like, what if we did like a Pop Punk Goes Broadway series? The first video that they posted got 3.7 million views. He went from like 8K followers to 166K overnight.
Wow.
We kept doing these videos. He's at like 500,000 now. Dude, his streams tripled, his monthly listeners doubled. He got a whole separate record deal to do that album. And I mean, like, dude, the guys started making thousands of dollars off of his TikTok, you know? So, and I mean, the guy's like 21, you know what I mean? So that's like life changing, you know what I mean? And I've never seen from another platform of those types of results for literally it costed him this much money. And it just costed him a little bit of effort, you know what I mean? So
yeah, it's
the end game is to try and get people from all of those socials to your own platforms, right? So your own website, your own mailing list.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's, you know, it's wherever you're trying to drive the traffic, like that you make that the call to action and they'll go there, man. I mean, and it's a totally different demographic than any other social platform, you know, like completely different, and it's much younger, you know. So like,
I see TikTok as being very very nice. Like everybody on there is just nice. Like well, I mean,
people on there too.
You might be right, but YouTube, everybody's a dick.
Dude, yeah, that's true. They're all dicks.
And so it's a different world for me on TikTok.
Yeah,
it's almost all positive.
That's good. That's good. Because I mean, I've seen some mean ass people on TikTok too that just pick apart every little thing about like the way you look or like whatever, you know. And I mean, that's just people, you know. They get a chance to have a direct line of communication with you, and they're gonna reflect on you what's going on in their life. You know what I mean? And I honestly feel bad for those people. I'm like, dude, it must suck being you. You know what I mean? Where you have to get validation from shitting on this guy that's just
Right.
doing his thing, you know?
Yeah, people on the chat are asking, obviously, if you're accepting clients, and so do we send them
100%.
to Indie Amplify or to Push Marketing?
If you want a more direct line of communication, you can reach out to Push Digital Marketing. My email is adam@pushdigitalmarketing.com. You can reach out directly on my socials. It's Adam_Ramey, Ramey on Instagram, Adam Ramey on Facebook. It's verified, so like you'll be able to easily find it.
And is that something you do? Do you do like a consultation with you sit with them for an hour a week for a couple of weeks or something? And
I do consultations. I also do like monthly marketing packages, specifically for releases, or some people just want to work month by month, and I can help get them optimized, get them some infrastructure, and then we kind of we'll work on that for a month or two, and then leading into the release, now we're set up for data capture. We have our PR laid out already. We have all the entire plan laid out. So we can do that too. And then Indie Amplify, I would recommend that if you're really just, you want something quick and you don't want any real strings attached. Like, I just want this guy to react to my YouTube or react to my video on YouTube, Or I just want,
that's right.
Yeah.
That's super cool. And Tom, as you listen to all this, I'm wondering if you and I, we're of a certain age, and our bands have been around a really long time, and it's a changing.
I love both of you guys' bands.
Well, thank you, man.
Thank you.
Is your head about to explode, or are you in the know on all this?
No. So I am. It's funny because I feel like the way my brain works is like when you say things like gathering the data and all of those things, like, and this is a major fault of mine, but like, I kind of am like, I have no clue, like what I could do with that, I don't have, and I know that it's the most valuable thing on the planet, but like, I don't really understand how to use yes, and how
I'm exactly the opposite. I'm literally just sitting here going, I want to do that. I want to do that. I want to do that. I want to do, I'm literally going,
no.
How can I fucking memorize all of this?
See, I'm saying that I don't understand it, but I know that it is so important. That's my problem, is that I'm like, okay, cool. What's that website again? I better email this guy as soon as this is done.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, like, you guys know I would be more than happy to work with you guys on anything you want to, And I mean, you guys, you've existed for a certain amount of time. And like, I mean, I could only imagine how much data you guys probably have accumulated over the years, And I mean, and there's still different ways that we can still harness all that stuff. It's never too late. We can do different lead magnets. Like, I mean, my band did this one thing where we were like, we had this thing called Text Your Fans, and it would make like a number, and the fans could text you and be like, hey, everybody send a text to this, and we're going to choose 5 people out of that, and we're going to personally give you a phone call. I mean, we got 500 numbers in a day.
Wow.
I mean, you take all of that data, and they opt in, you know what I mean? So you're all good to use that. And then, like I said, aside from direct email and SMS marketing, the demographical data that you can get from that is ridiculous. I mean, if you have several thousand emails and phone numbers, I mean, the data pool there is ridiculous. You know, it's crazy.
And Tom, we do have that. I mean, you've got all that. We've got all that information for everybody. Like, for example, for us, we've been the same merch store for 25 years. It's like we have every email of every person that's ever bought anything from us ever. Plus, we still have the old school email list and all that shit. And
there's a ton of shit you can do. Like a ridiculous amount of shit that you can do. Especially like earlier, whenever I was backstage here, I heard you guys talking about like the live stream thing. Like, imagine if you had the ability to target your exact warm audience and individuals just like those, and direct email marketing and SMS marketing. Maybe they get exclusive deals, like that kind of stuff. Also, like, you make it more interactive for people, like make a Discord server, give them a sense of community. Because I feel like that's what bands and artists miss out a lot on, is facilitating and creating that sense of community which Discord does really well. It gives them almost unfettered access to the artist without like having your phone number. But it also gives them a community and a sense of belonging, you know? I mean, that is very important, especially these days. Everybody's so isolated, they're separated. They're craving that connection, and you give them a place where they're along with like-minded individuals, you know what I mean? And that really will sustain you the rest of your career as an artist if you can just stay there, facilitate that, stay in the mix with these people. You know, it's just so crucial.
For sure. With my little weekly live streams, I feel like that's half of it. It's like people, of course, love to see me and hang with me and hear me sing and everything. But they're also like talking to each other in the comments.
100%.
So they're like, it's almost like they're able to like socialize like in this safe zone.
Oh, they make like, well, for our Facebook group, the Bowling Pursuit Facebook fan page is super active, and they do their own meetups. They do their own, you know, all of this stuff. But then over the course of the COVID thing, my stage, it created this whole thing called the Kazoo Crew, because I play a kazoo during my and they, you know, they're called the Kazoo Crew. They're like, you've created a cult, and they go on vacations together and stuff. Like, it's
see, that's badass, bro. I mean, those people are like, I always tell bands when I work with them, I'm like, I'm not trying to get you millions of fans, millions of streams, but what I am trying to get you is 500 moms. And when I say 500 moms, I mean 500 people that support you like your mom does. They're coming to every show. They're buying every piece of merch. If you have 500 of those people giving you $20 a month, that's a lot of money, you know what I mean? And that's where it starts and where it ends, you know? And the only way you do that is facilitating this kind of stuff, showing the personality of who you are, who the band is, you know? And the kazoo thing, I bet you that shit would snap on TikTok. If you just did like random covers of popular songs on a kazoo, I guarantee you that's so ballistic on
really good. That's a really good idea, and something I haven't even thought of, because it's in every show when I whip that thing out. Like, if it's
they go crazy.
Yeah, people go nuts. You know? It's like it's on my merch. You know?
Yeah, and that's light work for you, you know.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, totally.
You know, and it's just like all these kids, you know, like that may or may not have heard of you guys, you know, like they'll be like, that's the dude that does the kazoo, and then you get them in your little echo chamber, and then you just keep them there with like, here's my band, and like, here's what we've done, and like, here's my journey, and like, here's me, you know what I mean? And authenticity is ultimately what's gonna, just be yourself, you know. I mean, I try to tell that to people all the time, like everybody wants to be the fucking cool guy, but you can't until you're the cool guy. So until then, be relatable.
You know, that is a huge thing, and I think that goes in so many areas of just entertainment and in general, is being yourself. And when I got into voiceover, I thought, okay, well, I can do impressions and I can do all these crazy voices or whatever. And the first agent I had was like, I don't want you to do that. Just be yourself. Read it like you would read it, and whatever, because that's what is going to sell you. And quite frankly, that is exactly what got me all of the gigs that I have. And it's the same with, you know, be who you are on stage. You don't need to act like somebody else. Be who you are on social media, you know, and you don't have to. In my opinion, you don't have to go along with the trends and stuff. If you're different, be different. You know, if you're not,
power in that.
100%. Yeah, I agree. I think that's a huge lesson.
I agree. You know, and like building, kind of piggybacking off that, it's like I do this experiment with people, and I'm always like, who do you think, if you were to take a stab in the dark, who's the most popular superhero? Everybody either always says Superman or Batman, but in reality, it's actually Spider-Man.
Yeah, 100%.
You gotta think like, why, right? Well, Batman, orphan billionaire, lives in a cave. Can't relate to that guy. Superman, alien. You know what I mean? Like, weak to kryptonite. What even is that? You know what I mean? You can't relate to that guy. Peter Parker.
Yeah.
Normal guy. Wears glasses. Doesn't get laid. You know what I mean? Like,
friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
Right. You can relate to that guy. You know what I mean? And at its core, I feel even down to religion, you know, like Jesus, you know, like people can relate to him. He was a normal guy. He was all about doing good things, you know, like guess what the most popular religion is? You know what I mean? It's like, I try to tell people, like, you know, marketing at its core is literally just human psychology. If you can understand human psychology, you will be very good at marketing, because at its core, that's all it is, you know? So if you can appeal to the everyman demographic, you know, the typical 9 to 5 people, blue collar, whatever, you know, I mean, that's a significant amount of the population. To me, music is almost second. You know, you have this music is an interesting product because you hit them on an emotional level, but you know, the attention spans of people and all this other stuff, they don't really give a shit if you drop a new song. They don't give a shit about a new artist. You have to give them a reason to care. And I feel like being relatable and being like, this guy's just like me. You know what I mean? He's doing the same things I do. He likes the same things I like. You know, like I try to tell artists that, like, even if you're promoting your band, like, that doesn't mean you can't be like, yo, stop what you're doing right now. There's 10 shows you have to watch on Netflix before they go off. If you're a big movie buff or a show buff, you put your music at the bottom of that video and you just freaking make videos like that. People are going to come and they're like, I want to check this guy out because that song's pretty cool. Because I've watched it like 3 times and now I like the song more because I've heard it repeatedly. And he likes all the stuff I like. I'm going to follow this guy. You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of how I try to approach everything.
Yeah.
So
Very,
to-
very good information. I think it's hard for everybody to, for me, I think if you're not already on TikTok, it's one of those things where people are a little intimidated by it because you think you have to go in and sort of like do all of these things that everybody else is doing. And really, you know, I think that's the hardest thing, right? Is just jumping into that thing and
tough.
Doing it.
It's tough, but I try to tell people, like, it's like playing baseball, dude. Like, if you're not swinging at the ball, you're going to miss every time. If you swing at the ball and you hit a ball into the outfield, aka you post something, you're getting a ball in the outfield. Eventually, there's going to be a home run. There's going to be a grand slam, you know? But if you're not swinging at the ball, and I mean, the thing I try to tell people, because people are really self-conscious about, like, diving into that. And I'm like, dude, if you don't have followers anyway and no one's going to see it, who the fuck cares? You know what I mean? Just do it. And then, like, you're going to see results from it. Like, I guarantee you, you know, it's like, and, you know, even like the ad format on TikTok is crazy as far as return on investment goes. I mean, you can implement your pixel to that. You can implement, like, even Snapchat ads. That's the thing that a lot of people aren't doing. You can have a Snapchat ads manager. You can attach your pixel to it. I mean, you know, there's Facebook, there's Twitter. You know, I mean, there's a lot of outlets that aren't really being utilized by a lot of these people. But yeah, man, I feel like if you just get out there, and I feel like one thing I've noticed too is every popular TikTok influencer, they have a prop that they'll have on every video. They'll have a theme and then a setting. If you can get those 3 things pretty, like, laid out, that gives you an infrastructure for you to create your video. I mean, there's this one guy that gives, like, honestly, like, mediocre advice, but he's funny. He's always in the same setting and he always has a cigar in his mouth. Like, that's the prop, you know? Like, even that guy, there's like this dude that lip syncs the same Juice WRLD song dressed up as the Joker.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Dude, I just wanted to do a case study on this guy, and because I seen him early before he popped off, and I was like, dude, I guarantee you this guy's gonna go crazy at some point. And like, dude, in a month he had over 1 million followers, and all he did was that shit. You know what I mean?
Creative, right? I mean, there's this. Somebody was telling me about this band that, and I wish I knew specifically who it was, and maybe you'll know, but they went crazy because they just got on there every day and were just like, maybe today's the day that people start listening to our song, and then get on there. What's that?
Magnolia Park, I think.
Is that who it is? Yeah. And then they'd get on the next day and go, well, maybe today's the day. And then it just fucking happened. People started listening to the song. And
that's genius.
It's brilliant. But to see how simple that is. Tom, like from a label standpoint, like not even as a musician, I mean, you know, there's a lot going into this. And are you pretty, do you encourage, you know, the artists on the label to be like super social media active?
I mean, absolutely. We're just some of us are not as good at it. Like it doesn't come as natural to us. So we've got to work a little bit harder. But some of the younger artists, like I've got this group Fairview, and they are like, I think I don't know their exact numbers, but they've got a ton of followers on TikTok, to the point where they're getting like brand endorsements and like doing like, yeah, like getting paid to like post somebody's product or something like that.
Mhm.
So they're really good because I think they're a little younger. That just is easier for them to understand it and to say like, oh, we'll do this thing and we'll see the results. So yeah, absolutely. I know how important that is, but I also feel like as a fan of music, right?
Mhm.
Like, and I don't know if you guys can relate to this, um, but like I'm a huge fan of the Strokes, right? And Julian Casablancas, the singer, just started doing like like he joined Instagram like a few months ago. And he's posting all this crap and I'm kind of like, man, like you were kind of cooler before I'm like finding out all this, like just your personality. There's something
I
that
see what you're saying. Yeah.
even
Yeah.
like The Weeknd, when The Weeknd was like this cool, mysterious, like you didn't know shit about him. You just could put on his records and like they moved you. And now that he's like kind of a huge star and like he's has the need to like be kind of posting or doing all these like, endorsements or like these ads or magazine shoots, it's kind of like loses its cool, loses its luster. So I don't know. I struggle as that with that a little
Mm.
bit in the sense of just like oversharing, you know. And
I
so
see,
I feel
I
like it's a
see what
little
you're
bit of a fine
saying.
line. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I see I understand where you're coming. To me, that's a pretty old school view. I mean, in that like overexposure, right? I mean, that was the whole thing, right? When bands in the 80s, for example, we got to see them on MTV and we got to read about them in magazines. That's it. That's all you had, right? And if you would have told me back then that I would know what Nikki Sixx ate for breakfast every day, I'd have been like, fucking what? Like one day I'm gonna know what Nikki Sixx ate for breakfast every day. This is crazy. And so I just feel like it's just a new world in which we live because I think attention spans are smaller, and shorter. And if you don't do these things, if you don't overexpose yourself, then you're gonna get forgotten. And
Right.
I think obviously look at Taylor Swift. I mean, she's the biggest artist in the world, and there is fucking something about her in the media, and she's putting something out there every fucking day. There's something new that she's up to, and it's that's overexposure being done at its finest. And that girl can literally do nothing wrong. That girl could punch Queen Elizabeth in the fucking face, and people would just be like, it's just Taylor. And
Yeah, she must have made her mad or something. I don't
yeah,
know.
I know. Yeah, I bet you she said something about the Kanye thing, or it's
Right.
gotta be something. Guys, I hate this, but we're gonna run out of time. I actually am a dad, and I have to take a boy to an indoor soccer game. I could talk to you three for another 7 hours, so let's do this again sometime.
Absolutely.
Hell
It was
yeah.
nice meeting you guys. If you ever need anything, absolutely hit me up. I'd love
Man,
to help with anything you guys need.
Absolutely. Can you guys go ahead and Tom, tell everybody where you'd like them to find you on the internet.
Yeah. So follow me personally at Higgy Pop, HIGGYPOP. And then from there, you can find the label Humans Were Here, my solo project, Million Miler, TLB, all my little projects I'm always talking about on Instagram on Higgy Pop. So check me out there. And of course, Plain White Tees on Facebook, Instagram at Plain White TS, because everybody spells T's wrong. They think it's TEES, but it's like a T-shirt. A T-shirt is called a T-shirt because it's in the shape of a T. Yeah. So Plain White Tees and yeah, at Higgy Pop and Humans Were Here.
There you go. Adam?
Follow you. Yeah, just Instagram, Adam_Ramey, last name spelled RAMEY. You can email me, adam@pushdigitalmarketing.com. You can hit me up on Facebook, it's just Adam Ramey. And then yeah, man, I mean that's pretty much it.
Awesome. You can find me everywhere at JARET2113 or on TikTok at Jarrett Reddick, or just go to my website, jarrettreddick.com. And New Bowling for Soup out now. Kill them with kindness. It's a lesson in life, and it's something we need to do more of. Killing them with kindness. Danny, what you got?
So I am at Danny Marty Freeman, pretty much on every platform. So you guys can find me there. But yeah, no, thank you two so much for coming on today.
Anytime. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you. This is awesome.
Yeah, and we'll be back next month, right, Danny?
Oh, yes, we will. So we'll
then-
see everybody then. And thank you, everyone, for joining us and watching. Take care and Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, guys.
Merry
Happy New
Christmas.
Year.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Music Networking 101. If you like what you heard today, then please drop us a like, sub, or review and spread the word about the show, or feel free to pick up some merch from our store. All of that really helps us continue to grow and to have some of the most engaging conversations with the best in the biz. We love this community and we love what we do. See you next time.